You know, it's an interesting thing. The very first time I sang in public was, I had a sleepover at my house. So it was a bunch of my girlfriends I was with. And my friend said, sing us a song first. Okay, I didn't know that, but she said that I was next to fine. And I said, and right when I was about to start singing, I thought, this is either going to be really good or really bad. And I knew that at that point, that this was a profound, and they liked it. So I couldn't keep singing.
For those currently on the live stream, you're hearing murmurs from our crowd, and we're just waiting for a few folks to come in from the parking lot before we start.
Well, welcome to the Dickinson series, everyone. We're so glad you're here. You blew in. I mean, it's crazy out there, isn't it? So we're delighted to have Henk Wulst come and read for us tonight. He is, as many of you have probably read, either in our UU newsletter or in the Peninsula Pulse. He was born in the Netherlands, but he's spent a lot of time here in the United States, and he loves English. He enjoys just the play, the alliteration. internal rhyme, and he's a fabulous punster, so I imagine we may be treated to some of those as well. And we're delighted to welcome him to the podium tonight. Welcome, Hank.
Can you hear me okay? Okay, delighted you're here. As Peggy said, Hank Wolst, and I'm pleased to share with you some verse I've written over the years. I'm not published, nor do I intend to be, but in fact, I've never read these before a group like this or any other group ever. I have always been fascinated by the English language. It's not my native tongue, and maybe that's what makes my fascination with it all that much more intensive and intense. I had often in the past, and even to this day, jot down random thoughts, snippets of verse, bad puns, and filed them away. More recently, through my involvement with UUFDC, often as either the service leader or as a speaker at times, my writing impulses were given a new life, a rebirth, if you will, either in the specific context of UUFDC or in a more general context, up to and including letters to the editor when that was still allowed. Not long ago, I revisited some of those past notes in the more current writings, thinking that perhaps there was some gold in them thar hills, and hence my being here tonight to share them with you and to discover if they are in fact gold or perhaps fool's gold. My hope is at the conclusion of my readings you'll have been pleased by what you've heard, though that's by no means assured. So let's begin. Breeze and Bright is a brief reflection on the ability of creatures of different color, size, and talent to get along with one another despite those differences. Would that man were amongst those creatures. Breeze and Bright. Over the rise and into view, there appeared two cranes, whom I thought I knew. They were different, though, in ways unclear, but they seemed quite comfortable being here. In near proximity, a gaggle of geese, goslings and ganders, large and small, some on land and some in swim. There were ducks nearby, a paddling and a waddling, one or two in flight, all blissfully unaware of the others there, and or unperturbed by the bird community surrounding them, all at peace, all in peace, savoring sun and light, and breeze and bright. Willie Nelson's On the Road Again. Henry Mancini's Two for the Road. Paul McCartney's The Long and Winding Road. There's a romance to the road. In The Road's the Way, that romance is both of the road itself and the discovery of a romance. The road's the way. Some say the road's the way. I agree. The road is the way. Ford Dodge, become my lodge. Billboards and signs, commercial collage. Roadside, into sleep slide. Endless stars, my time I bide. Cornflakes with water taste like mud, the ground I baste. Old Town, first face of frown, too long hair, on Christ a crown of thorns, my hat is torn, my clothes forlorn. Onward, no time to be bored. Trees, birds, bees, they're my Lord. Tabernacle of stained glass ground, while multi-hued sepulchres stand all around. The altar a tree, and there stands she. Soon wedded, enter I, soon wedded be. A ring of grass and a natural mass, and me her lad, and she me lass. Some say the road's the way. I agree. The road is the way. Two short poems about two very distinctive opposites, but somehow linked as subjects of two short poems. The first one's called Not a Major poem about a minor cannibal. Now, a little background. Only 4 people in the history of the United States have ever been convicted of cannibalism. One was Alfred G. Thacker, and he was a Colorado miner. And in fact, the University of Colorado Boulder memorializes him by having named their cafeteria grill the Alfred G. Packer Memorial Grill, with the slogan, have a friend for lunch. 7 miners with you they went, and encountering hardship, your mind it bent. 8 of you there, 8 of them 7. Eating your brothers won't get you to heaven. Now, at the opposite extreme, of course, is the great English humanist, theologian, statesman, Sir Thomas More, truly a man for all seasons. And so this is in memory and praise of Sir Thomas More. Sir Thomas More, Sir Thomas More. I wish I could say more, but more would only be your name, and there isn't more to say. Now, the father of Greek tragedy, the father of tragedy, there was the Greek playwright Aeschylus, and there's a legend associated with his death. And so the next poem is called Shell Game, and it is about the death of Aeschylus. A legend has it, or so I've heard, that old Aeschylus died because of a bird, an eagle. That glorious fowl of skies above mistook his bald head for a boulder or a rock and proceeded to drop his final hurdle to eating his turtle, a shelled feast upon our hero's head. The turtle cracked, the eagle supped, but our Grecian playwright lay quite dead. You know, sometimes even the most mundane of objects, discarded, lying alone, and unwanted, can give rise to a certain sense of bonding or study and evoke feelings of a past far more exciting and stimulating, perhaps, than the present. And so it was on my contemplation of this tire several years ago. It was a particularly good year. This one is called Fresh Thoughts on a Tired Tire. An old rubber automobile tire lay in a junkyard, tired of life and oblivious to all around it. The bright light from the sun is reflected on some tin. The draft of the wind is molded by an old tail fin. The sound of rustle, the sound of bustle, as the man strives to free the trunk lid that the customer did want to buy. And time zips by like a long ribbon of road. I saw that tire lying there, lying bare. I saw how each and everything revolved around that tire there. I saw in focus furtive tread, well-worn tread, which had led the locomotive lust of some salesman, some student, some housewife on her way to market, some old lady who only used her vehicle to visit the good Lord's domicile on each and every Sunday. And all about, all around, the tinsel tin traps, the muddied hubcaps, wheels in imminent collapse, were like a scene seen through turbid and turgid waters. I'd seen it all before. This doorless door, that rotted floor. But now no notice did I take. The tire my attention took, the only thing at which to look. And this one, again, the subject is the mundane or commonplace. This is one we're all acquainted with, by the way. And if I flush, simply disregard and remain seated. This one is called Toilet, O Toilet. Oh, the wonderful receptacle of our solid waste, that unholy throne in porcelain encased, Savior of a bad meal's misery, great wonder of man's history, who has uncomplainingly suffered through ignominy, how many days have I sought your counsel? How many hours have you waited until I, with pants down, left unthanking, heedless of your crown? All should bow, no, all should genuflect to great effect before you, O toilet great. Day in, day out, we see you open, but ne'er you blush. But we persist, not content, until you are flushed. Great God, I'd rather a pagan be suckled in a creed outworn than to see myself in your seat unthanked, unknown. But always for the weary traveler a happy home. Toilet, oh toilet, so many thanks from one indebted for all your openness, thanks from me, and for all who never said it. The eyes have it, the mouth has it. They signal identity, sensuality, mystery. The nose doesn't. Most pay little attention to it. I thought I should. Hence the nose. The nose, the nose. Do you suppose anyone knows the myriad smells we daily expose the nose to? We load her, unload her, reload her with strong odor, weak odor, smells that dwell, and fragrances that dance away as quickly as they came. The sommelier tests bouquet, leaves it to his nose to say, this wine is fine, this one past prime. We load her, unload her, blow her, and pick her. Police employ the bloodhound to see the felon found. And for those who've had enough of smoking, where else to put the snuff? Ah, the nose, the nose. Not a resident of Parnassus, I, but if I don't praise the nostril, don't know if anyone else will. Tales of a Leon is a celebration in 5 short poems of Simon de Leon, an anti-hero of my invention, whose activities beg reason, but which activity Simon thrives on. And they're simply called number 1, number 2, number 3, 4, 5. Number 1, Simon de Leon. What a clown. Never make it. Damn, he's my son. We took him in our arms after he'd been caught for burning barns in New York. Barns, short for barnacles. Fireproof, you know, wherever they grow. Number 2, my God, my son continues on his rampage, wreaking woe beyond his age. He oughtn't to do things that brings police to our house. Number 3, Simon de Leon, what's he on? Must be something that affects his brains. Any man maims mice can't be too right when the mice are already nice and dead. Number 4, Simon de Leon's sister just sits there. Last time she did anything, it was nothing. And that was 3 years ago. We've got confidence, though. Number 5, Simon de Leon's dog really isn't a dog. It's a hog. But it really doesn't matter, because Simon much rather have the hog. Simon and the hog have a whale of a time counting stale limes. Rainy days can be days of quiet contemplation and appreciation on the one hand and loneliness on the other. Rainy day tries to convey the loneliness of a rainy day. Rain, in contrast, is a contemplation and appreciation of the magical transformative power of rain. Rainy day. Sun fails to find a rainy day, and this rain don't seem to want to go away. I'm just sitting down, shitting around without an umbrella for my big toe. lake water rises and lake water falls, and out in the distance a robin calls, and I'm just sitting down, shitting around without anyone to call to. Rain. Unfriendly weather. Whether that's good or not, I forgot. I don't like rain a lot. Can't play. But I guess what they say about rain makes it less of a pain. Knowing that a day inside, which hides me from sights I'd see outside, doesn't get me down. And the sound of little drum soldiers, as played by raindrops on my metal roof, keeps me aloof, I suddenly find, from those who close their minds to rain. Rain, rain, come again, my friendly friend, and send below your fluid mender, so again we may see nature's magnificent splendor. High noon revels in a windy and noisy moment in my favorite place, the forest. Leaves leave branching branches. Bark barks with gaping silence. Wind roars in on all fours, and a cloud reluctantly makes room for high noon. Trees bend as royalty's guests. It's still raining like Henry VIII. Cracking and creaking sounds muscles like best. And that was raining, by the way, the same way that Trump spells it when he talks about stuff raining on Iran. On a cloudy day is a reflection of the conflicting sense and emotion that clouds can evoke, especially great big cumulus clouds with accents of gray, foreboding of the storm, meteorological or otherwise, to come. It's called On a Cloudy Day. Clouds carelessly moving towards clashing, bashing, and mashing, and me, my teeth gnashing for the storm to come. But aren't all men dead and then alive again? I can't say. I can't pray, which is why I lay in constant torment neath an angry sky, waiting for the moment of eternal smile, infernal cry. This one is probably around, let's see, it's 56 years old. And I don't know how many remember, but in 1970, almost within a month of one another, there were two tragedies. There were plane crashes. One killed 14 members of the Wichita State football team as it crashed in Utah, and the other one crashed pretty much all of the Marshall University football team when it crashed in, I can't remember, in West Virginia, I think, actually. And so on October 2nd, 1970, it was a chartered Martin Air that was carrying a contingent of Wichita State football players. There were others on a sister flight, and that one made it uneventfully. And so I had remembered a poem by A.E. Housman called To an Athlete. I can't remember the exact title of it now, come to think of it. But in any case, when I read about the plane crashes, and I remembered A.E. Housman, I wrote to 14 athletes dying unexpectedly. Football seemed, at the time that is, an awful waste, for how their families must miss those wide-necked, thick-thighed young men who were their followers' hope when that plane crashed. 14 men were smashed against Mother Earth like ne'er they had experienced in any game, their bodies amid rubble of plain and stubble of burned-out grass. The hilltop became the final stop where to earn their final acclaim. Housman said it years ago, and now I'll say it again. For to an athlete in the prime of sport, dying young's the best of friends, of a sort. Border also goes back many years. I lived by myself at the time, worked as a meat cutter which is a much more, I always objected to the term butcher. I wasn't a butcher, I was a meat cutter. So it's a big difference. As for the rest, the poem says it all. It's called Border, Border. The fire in the furnace on 4. My thoughts behind a closed door, for which I've temporarily lost the key. The sound of a faucet dripping water, and I'm the lonely boarder on the border of my mind. Gotta find some time to unwind, to unravel the sheets that make my shroud. Dripping's getting loud. I'll get up in the morning, yawning my way to the day. I've work to look to, there to meet the meat that meets my mother at market. And I'll cut a finger, become the singer, be the punster, play the funster that we all know me to be, except me. Then home, my pleasure dome of naked walls and empty drawers. I'll put the furnace on 4 and close the door, go to the bathroom and pee some more. And now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. My father, now deceased, and I were not as close as I now wish we had been, and perhaps we all feel that in some ways with either parent. And this is about my regret for not getting to know and appreciate him better. And it's called Father's Rather Different Now. When once alone in my cabin of stone I beheld a sight, a perfect fright, as of a demon possessed, unless it was really my father. When once small, if I remember it all, for memory and me do not see eye to eye, I recall a man who stands with hands 'neath my chin, as I with a grin shook to get free. Towards my middle years, when people gazed as if dazed with stifled stares at my dingy diorama, he was there, though of grayer hair and lesser weight, and I asked time to wait. This is called On a Cabin 60 Years Later, and the cabin is a metaphor for our aging selves. Seeing it got me to thinking, all is ephemeral, whether blood and bones or logs and chinking. From dust to dust all must go. Forlorn sits the empty cabin there, built the year before I was born, and now destroyed by the ravage of time, which will soon die the life of me and mine. Shingles on the roof have turned to skin, and where once were eyes, now broken glass, which along with a doorless door allows both out and in to anything unable or unwilling to ask. Yes, time has taken us to task. Once both that cabin and me and mine could have had anything we'd have wanted. But those days are rather ended now. This is I can remember the situation, and I don't remember specifically where it was, but I saw an old lady wrapping a present, or a box of some sort, while sitting on a bench. And then a young couple walked by, and I couldn't let that moment go. An old woman packaging memories, and a young couple about to make theirs. The contrast was and remains exquisite. And it's called Lonely Lovers, Only Lovers. Old woman sitting on a picnic bench, bending while binding her package in string. Dappled dress, shining shoes, minor makeup, as if to affect the guise of some long-lost star long fallen from the skies. And she's just sitting there, her only care seeming to be that package lying dormant, lying sleepily, it yearning yawn but string suppressed. A young couple walks by, arm in arm, leg in leg, if they could, the way it is when one's in love or love's in one. Tibwin is an antebellum mansion, plantation, if you will, near Charleston, South Carolina. And it still exists, and it was the home of a lady friend of mine, lady friend at that time. Today one can still visit the plantation, though it's pretty much dilapidated. 50 plus years ago, our relationship ended, or yeah, it was about 50, maybe even more than 50 years ago. And on Tibwin is a brief expression of my feelings at that time and at that ending. On Tibwin, furrows furtive, autumn unleaves leaves, leaves me mouth opened, awe, alone. Cigarette in hand by roadside stand. Car carry on me by marsh moss tree. For flight of hawk feel I free. Return regal to thumbnail throne. Alone again apartment, hello. Alone again apartment, hello. I don't remember the specifics of the concert, but it was a concert that was one that I particularly liked, enjoyed, had a great time, and so I wrote a poem called Recollections of a Very Good Evening. Masons pounding, walls resounding, brick, cement, and iron railing, 8, 9, maybe 11, one with a guitar, leaving 7 or 8 or 10. To the sound of the strum, the singers chanted songs they had learned of long ago or knew. PP&M flew their Pan Am, while Dylan went dealin' with socio-feelin'. Got kind of late, tobacco smelt bad, maybe that's all the drugstore had. We left, no more to sing, leaving all but my recollections of a very good evening. PP&M, Peter, Paul, and Mary. I thought, at some point in the past, I thought, as you can tell, I'm not obsessed with form, but I thought, well, let me try a sonnet, just for the hell of it. Let's just try a sonnet. So here it is. And it doesn't even have a name. It just says sonnet number 1. When once I recall the departure of a dear and friendly friend, without whom life would serve no end, I gaze through time's tiny aperture and recall again her soon return. Living lonely loves no man, and as for company other than my friendly friend, I do not yearn. For be it but a day, her absence leaves me naught of all my hope and strength. And I only hope that fortune may my friendly friend be brought back home without undue length. And that was my first and last effort at a sonnet. But having said that, I thought, well, how about writing something in the style of Shakespeare's day? And so I did. And it's called Till Death, and in parentheses, love. Thou art more lovelier than all the blooms of spring which serve to bring blessedness upon a barren earth. Thy beauty becharms me, and upon your entering my humble arms, my silent self gives birth to ecstatic shouts of joy. For I love thee, and as is common to see, my love is returned by thee to me. But what of age, nature's back page, that doth of death and hurts recount? Doth one's love with wrinkles mount? Or doth one's love with unconstancy flaunt? My love, this I can answer, as only I can, for the feeling pricks as a lancer this being of mine. My love will stay and grow. With increase of wrinkles and lack of bright hair, my love will increase for you, till death stayeth it there. This one was, I lived in New York City and found life more than a little bit repetitious. I was working for a company called Colgate-Palmolive at the time. And so this is called Good Morning, Good Night, Good Morning. And it's kind of an anti-celebration of repetition in daily life. But it's also a paean to the music of the metropolis. So it's a combination of two things, I guess. Grog, grag, sag, bog, early in the morning, rickety, yickety, yickety, my newest day is forming. Flush, brush, eat my mush. Good morning, read the paper, take my pills, cure my ills, hope the breakfast fills. Grr, sir, your fare, rip, snip, clip, tear the ticket, sip a sip, walk on by the picket. Ring, ding, dang, dong, days moving along, up, down, into town, munch a bit of lunch. Ham? Damn. Spam. Bread on bread, buy a loaf. Grapes, buy a bunch. Down, up, to the club, have a drink, think, saw the shrink. 1, 2, 3 o'clock, 60 minutes, only 60 more. Now it's 4 and only work for 2 hours more. Feeling sick. Now it's 6, gotta find the bathroom door. Hardware store, I need a hammer. Here's your change. Bad news, the dog has got the mange. To the vet, finally get home, all alone. PTA is where she is. News I miss, so I listen to the game, it's all the same. Then she comes, mumbles, fumbles, and tumbles, but finally dressed, gets into bed. Rollers in, molars out. Good night. Crog, crag, sag, bog early in the morning. Rickety, ickety, ickety, my newest day is forming. Flush, brush, eat my mush. Good morning. This one is, and I wrote little notes as to, some commentary and so forth. And I can't recall the impetus, rationale, or meaning for this poem. I was, however, intrigued by the imagery and the phrasing, and the 2,000 Decembers that you'll hear as I read it in the closing, near the closing, reminds me of Yeats' 20 Centuries of Stony Sleep from The Second Coming. And beyond all of that, I just happen to like the images and the phrasing and everything else. And if you're familiar with The Second Coming, of course, it talks about 20 centuries of stony sleep, were vexed to nightmare by a rocking cradle, and what rough beast its hour come round at last, slouches towards Bethlehem to be born. We're living that now. It's called the 1st of May. Upon the first day of our month May, in the movement, there appeared to me an apparition, a pallid vision of a tortured, tattered, and ragged form. Evening it was, a sunless morn, my drought-dry mouth in silent mourn for my brother or another. The dying embers smolder as leg dismembers. And time goes on, 2,000 Decembers. The memory lingers, but no one remembers. On a brighter note, this one's called It's Spring Again. It is. And there's something very special about seeing a tractor rolling along a stretch of farmland as it leaves winter behind it and augurs in a new spring ahead of it. And so it's called It's Spring Again. Green John Deere tractor pulling a squabble of white gulls along newly browned soil under a smiling blue sky dappled with downy, puffy pillows of white. Yellow flowers, could they be dandelions, frame the scene. I'm ambling alongside a country road, dog restrained by leash as she seeks liberation to chase that rabbit that came from nowhere. Everything's popping out from under or behind. Spring is here. It's a bounty of color and creature and cloud, and a very thoughtful teacher, reminding of the cycle begun anew, and I'm so grateful for the view. And I'll conclude it with 3 more, and then I think you do open mic or whatever for others who read, and then I'll conclude after that with a couple of other things. Dog or cat? Well, for me, there's only one answer. The dog is where it's at. I'm a dog person through and through, and I can sometimes get pretty dogmatic about it. But rather than doing that, how about several poems, doggerel though they may be. The first one's called Pillow Paws. You wake me in the morning with a paw to the pillow and a lick to the lips, and I wonder why I love this. Why such a fix on this canine kiss? And it quickly becomes clear why I so very much miss not having you near, not having you here, you perfect creature, you incredible dog. Now, our dog's name is Winnie, and Winnie is, I wouldn't call her especially attentive, would you, Buttons? I don't think so. And so when I thought to write a poem for her, I knew it had to be brief. So, To Winnie is the shortest poem I've ever written. It's called To Winnie. I bow at the wow of your bow wow. And she still didn't stick around for the whole thing. They truly make for a heaven on earth, what with their unconditional love and that empathetic gaze. It may be just a stare or a plea for a treat, but I don't care. I love them all my days. In doggy heaven, they don't know what you say, so whence the big brown eyes boring inquisitively into you? They can venture afar, both in body and in soul, and infer quite clearly and nearly what you've got in mind. Dog specialists tell of their incredible sense of smell, but I, mere human, never fail to tell their presence near by sense of sight or smell or ear. And they, in turn, will always yearn to be at our feet, perhaps a treat. We've been blessed for many a year, and they for that time 7, and I know that when it's time to go, we'll have been with them here in doggy heaven. Peggy? Thank you.
I can identify with a lot of your work. Brings back memories for me. We had a dog named Winnie. I used to think that in order for it to be a poem, it had to rhyme, and I'm grateful for all the rhyming that you've put into yours. The one that I want to share tonight really doesn't rhyme, but it was meaningful for me when I wrote it, and it's entitled Home. Where, oh where, is that place you call home? The place where you were born? Where memories of childhood flood your mind when you look back? Where you took your first step into the life that you hold dear? Where the arms of those who reached out to you made you feel secure? Where you became part of a loving family? Or where you yearned to belong but felt that you never did? Where that old house still stands with the swing in the backyard? Where you blew out the candles on your first cake? And where your first grade teacher taught you to read? Home is not only a place, but a feeling of belonging, of fond memories of old friends and special times, of baking a cake, painting a porch, planting a tree that you now stand under the shade of. A feeling of pride when you sing your national anthem. A feeling of hope and gratitude when you visit the old church. Home is a place where you want to return when you're tired and seek a place of comfort. A place where you feel free to be who you are without questions or judgment. Where you want to be when life is hard and you seek courage and hope for another better future. Where you know that your Lord and Maker is there beside you, with you in those of you love, so you can be reassured that you will always have a place you can call home. And in my little book, I have one of my pencil drawings of my home.
Left again. Now here's the podium, and there's a big step. Okay. Good. There you go. Perfect.
Okay, you can hear me all right? Okay, good. I'm Peter Sherrill. For those of you who haven't met me yet, I'm from Greater Metropolitan Coalburg in the south part of the county. Population maybe, 12 you think?
Maybe.
Counting the dogs. Anyway, delighted to be here. This is not my poem. I would give my left leg to be able to claim that I wrote it, but it's one of my favorites. It's by X.J. Kennedy, titled, "Nothing in Heaven Functions as It Ought." Nothing in heaven functions as it ought. St. Peter's bifocals blindly sat on crack. The gate swings open with the cackle of a cock, not with a hush of gold, as Milton had thought. Gangs of the slaughtered innocents keep puffing the nimbus off the venerable bead, like an old dandelion gone to seed, and the beatific choir keep breaking up, coughing. But hell? Sleek hell hath no freewheeling part. None takes his own sweet time, none hastens pace. Ask anyone, how come you here, poor heart? And he will slot a quarter through his face. There'll be a click, and then a tear imprinted with an abstract of his case. Thank you. Oh, down or up? I'll stay right here. Yeah, sure. Got it, thanks.
Well, I'm Carrie Sherrill, also from Greater Metropolitan Coalburg, Door County, USA. Although many people don't believe that's Door County because it's, far, far, far south of the bridge. Anyway, with the world the way it is today, there's so many poems I think that I could have brought tonight, but I chose to bring something funny because I think we all need that. Has anyone in here ever been late for a date? Never? Oh man, you're about to experience that. Does anybody know the artist Tim Nyberg? Okay. Peter and I do these Art Speaks events for Right on Door County on Fridays where we go around to the galleries and we have people write from a piece of artwork. And this poem came from a painting of Tim Nyberg's called Late for a Date. And the gentleman in the painting looks very frazzled and afraid, let's just say. And he's green. So, okay, here we go. Late for a date. Oh my God. Oh my God. Pant, breathe, jog, run. Off the subway, up the stairs, out onto the street. Which way? Which damn way? Sun so bright I can't see a thing. Which way to that cute little Sicilian bistro? Check tablecloth, bottle of Chianti. Oh no, now the bouquet is windblown and the blossoms are flying off. Wait, I see it. Palermo, down the block, across the street. Grit my teeth, run faster, eyes frantic, hair ruined. Even my extra hold pomade has failed me. Pant, run. She is impatient, I know this. Will she wait? 15 minutes? 20? I hope I don't outsweat my total body deodorant. I hope
I don't have a heart attack. Chest so tight, red-faced, cloud-nosed, in brisk November air. Unattractive, to be sure. But she needs to see me like this. Not on our second date. Hurry! Cross the street, horns blare, and that guy, he just gave me the finger. Hope he doesn't have a gun. Oh, yikes. Leap that puddle. Crap. Now my left foot is soaked. Mud splatters up my pant legs. Run. Run. How will I make it up to her? Extra wine. Cannoli. Almost there. Thank God I made a reservation. The maitre d' glares as I lurch through the door, raises one eyebrow, clears his throat. I approach the wait stand, run my fingers through my disheveled hair, lick my lips, swallow hard, give my name, and he says, Il tuo amore. She will be late, stuck in traffic. So I sit, I wait, try to fix the pathetic flowers, straighten my tie, breathe.
My name's Kathleen Harris, and I'm always really happy to be here. It feels good to be here. I asked and received permission to break the rules a little and share an important news item, one that this group of poetry lovers and poets might be particularly interested in. The news item comes from the Door County Advocate. It was posted on February 29th, 1924. I found it while researching a fellow named Joachim Emil Löwing, who immigrated to Ephraim many years ago. And the item appeared in News of the Village on page 3. And I would like this group to pay particular attention to the first sentence. Perhaps you'll be as surprised as I was. Mr. Löwing, the goldsmith, by the way, his name appears in Did the Eagle Get You, Dr. Moss, which is a classic Ephraim history book. Some of you have it on your shelves. I know you have it, even if you don't realize you still have it. Mr. Löwing the goldsmith and poet laureate of Ephraim will be 95 years of age next month, and the men of the village are planning on celebrating the day properly. In spite of his somewhat advanced age, Mr. Löwing continues to live in his little house under the cliff. Now, where could that be? Of course, that's the upper road, Moravia Street. In fact, his house was located, I guess, north of the schoolhouse. Mr. Löwing continues to live in his little house under the cliff. He prefers to do this so he can devote himself without disturbance to writing his autobiography, which will be entitled Memoirs of 100 Years. Gosh, if we only knew where that autobiography ended up. As Mr. Löwing is a leisurely worker who frequently digresses into poetic ruminations, he does not expect to finish his book for 10 or 15 years. But as long as he continues to live in Ephraim, there is no hurry. We hope soon to give the readers of The Advocate a picture of him. He has the straightest back in Door County.
I got it. All right. Hi, I'm David Sherman. And I'm going to read two things that I wrote. And the first one's called Bonus Years. Had I been born in an earlier time, a few centuries or so, I would have been drowned in a sack before I was given a name. Thrown back into the river of life, a single droplet no more, because my construction was poor. I was not finished cooking when I came out of the oven. There was a hole in the roof of my mouth. My palate was cleft, left unfinished and unable to take in the milk my mother made, to feed myself or talk or sing, or any number of vital things. But as fate had other plans, I was born a white, straight American man, in a land and time when such deficiencies could be repaired. So I was spared and allowed to be alive. I am in bonus years. This phrase first tickled my ears when I was at the vet with my beloved pet. Her name was Hungry, a jet black cat we saved from a life of struggle in the alleyways. And she grew and thrived and was allowed to be alive, and was loved and loved to curl up in the sun, to bask and purr. But she was not spared the wear of days. And as on the cold steel table she laid, recently poked and injected and trembling in fear, the vet casually declared that she had outlived her likely span, and that she was now in bonus years. We eventually put her down at the age of 23. She was scared and in pain and could no longer see. I wept unrestrained as she passed away in my arms, and that phrase, bonus years, has lingered in my mind. We are all in bonus years. The cancer in our liver was taken out by an anonymous T-cell. That distracted driver stopped his doom scrolling seconds before we rolled around the bend, singing along with Johnny Cash. On September 26, 1983, Stanislav Yevgrafovich disobeyed orders and went with his gut. He did not launch a retaliatory nuclear strike in response to a false alarm. And we did not live the morning after. Instead, we watched it on TV. We grew up, we got jobs, we got dogs. Rescued from kill shelters, dogs who would rather spend another moment in bed, stretched out in a patch of sun, bathing in the blanket's warm caress between me and my wife, in no rush to go outside, happy to hit the snooze button, languid and unaware in these bonus years. Thank you. And this is something I wrote as a song, but I wanted to dedicate it to all the writers here. It's called Tonight is for the Writers. Now's not the time for ambiguity. Let's put the finest point on things. Let those who see with great acuity transcribe the song the caged bird sings. Put a bit of truth on paper and catch it like a firefly. Cup a hand around and keep it safe from the dark and stormy sky. Tonight's for our protagonist, nay hypnotist, whose fate it is to sit in solitude and brood alone, and concoct a distillation, the boiled down bones of our condition, and then couch it in a couplet or a tome. Lifting us up so we can see our delicate humanity, making fast upon the page some inner light, outlining our connection that we might slouch toward some perfection, blotting out all the darkness, vanquishing the night. On the battlefield again, therefore, your soul to surrender, so that what we knew when we began, we may perchance remember. Your attention I call, your attention please. Hear me one and all. Doff your cap and take a knee. Tonight is for the introvert who toils in solitude, unrecognized, anonymous for all perpetude, whose work will not be heard, whose fruit will wither on the vine. Please hang on to every word. We see you touching the divine. There will be a night to hail the readers without whom we would not be, the actors and directors, protectors of our liberty, the groundbreaking technicians, musicians and tacticians, the undisputed heroes of our day. But for now, put all that away. Tonight, we do not celebrate the lovers or the fighters, the teachers or the preachers or political insiders, the artisans or partisans, uniters or dividers. Let's open up our hearts again, for tonight is for the writers. Thank you.
Thank you all. And I was asked by Peggy to read a couple of things in conclusion. And these are two excerpts from two of my favorite poets. And those of you who are UFDCers probably know who they are, because I think I spoke on both of them at various times. And they provide comfort and solace and hope for me in these troubled times. They're quite different. One is a 19th century English Jesuit priest. The other is a 20th and 21st century Canadian Jew. Couldn't be much more different than that. So first, from Gerard Manley Hopkins, he's the Jesuit, from his poem, God's Grandeur, the concluding 6 lines. And for all this, nature is never spent. There lives the dearest freshness, deep down things. And though the last lights off the black west went, morning at the brown brink eastward springs. Because the Holy Ghost over the bent world broods with warm breast and bright wings. The second is from Leonard Cohen's Anthem. And it's always meant a lot to me, and especially in this day and age. The refrain from that song goes, "Ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. That's how the light gets in. That's how the light gets in." Well, I have one more. Hold your applause till the end. This, as you know, is the fellowship that I attend, and I have often filled the role of service leader in our services. A service leader is kind of a choreographer, if you will, of the Sunday morning dance of worship. And the service is open with the lighting of this chalice with some accompanying words, and they end with the extinguishing of this chalice, and again with some accompanying words. I often write my own accompanying words, and I will close this evening's reading with some poetry that I wrote to close a service about 2 years ago, I think it was, and I call it A Brief Thought on Our Common Humanity. My blood courses through your arteries. Your blood through my veins. Let us not neglect to seize that for which this metaphor aims, a safe and sharing and sacred humankind, one towards which we're all inclined. May it be so. So, thank you for letting me share my verse with you. Thanks.